Another Thursday, another episode of my.na Cars with me, your favorite passenger princess, Diana Master. On today's episode, we attended the launch of the new Hino 700 series. I have to say, my mind was blown. I mean, we got a whole presentation on what the new Hino 700 offers and the upgrades they made from the previous series. And I have to say, it is tougher, it is safer, and it is just better for the driver and for everybody on the road. But I will leave you to come to that agreement as you watch the show, because we get to talk everything about the new Hino 700 series. But don't go anywhere, we'll be right back with more my.na Cars.
5 important facts about Shell Helix. 1. Shell was the first to develop the technology that produces oil from natural gas. 2. Oil made from natural gas is pure. 3. It's specially formulated not to break down even under the most extreme temperature conditions. 4. It gives you improved fuel economy. And 5. Shell Helix is the only motor oil used, trusted and recommended by Scuderia Ferrari.
Goeiedag. Is lekker om hier te wees vir julle. Die laaste keer wat ek die voorreg gehad het om met 'n klomp Namibiërs te gesels was jare terug toe ons die Hilux gelaunch het. Oneuptwo Lodge. Dit was 'n vreesenjare dag geweest want niemand wou huis toe gegaan het nie. Julle moet dit asseblief nie weer vandag doen in ons nie. Baie dankie Wilfred, ek waardeer vreeslik die geleentheid en ek wil vir jou en Heinz en die res van die Hino span sê baie dankie vir die pragtige mense wat julle vandag na ons launch toe gebring het, al die voorbereidings wat julle getref het. Dit is werklik uitmuntend. So thank you very much also to each and every one of our guests. We know that your time is expensive and we really appreciate the fact that you're willing to invest a little bit of your very valuable time in order to come and learn about the Hino, and we hope that we can share some interesting stuff with you today in order to convince you to put your hands deep into your pockets and invest in a product that we believe will provide you with some excellent service and competitive advantages out there. So, waar begin 'n mens? I think the first thing that we should say is that the Hino 700 has been launched in June of this year, actually in July of this year. We managed to put it into the market. That was after an absence in the market of more or less a year. I think the last 700 of the previous generation was sold by yourself, Heinz, yeah? Which was that beautiful fire truck that you entered Swakopmund with such fanfare. I really enjoyed the social media videos that you had there. But effectively, we were out of the market when it comes to extra heavy vehicles for quite a while. Our previous 700 had its challenges in terms of its competitiveness, and there was a lot of work done in order to ensure that when we launched the new 700, that we provide you with a vehicle that is in a completely different class. So the other element I'd like to quickly touch on is I don't know if any of you took note of a announcement that took place at the end of June of this year. We were quite excited about it in our world. The announcement was a collaborative announcement by Daimler Trucks, that is, Fuso Trucks, Toyota Motor Corporation, the global company, as well as Hino Motors Limited in Japan. Those 4 great brands will in future work together. They will still compete with one another and have their own brands that they will put into and products that they will put into the market. But the idea behind their collaboration is in order to share technology across different platforms. So the big words these days in the motor industry, whether it's trucks or whether it's cars or whether it's motorbikes for that matter, is CASE. I don't know if you've heard that acronym yet, CASE. So CASE is the challenge for all of us, because that's where the competitive advantages will lie in the future, as a matter of fact already, and where frankly, the customers demand certain things that was not considered before in the motor industry. C, the first letter in that acronym, stands for connected. And you will already see today a little bit of how connected vehicles can be, where you connect the vehicle with the customer via app-based information, and of course sources of information that flows to that. The customer is connected to the dealer is connected to the OEM is connected to the vehicle, and there's a huge amount of information flow that takes place, which enhances not just the experience for the owner of the vehicle or the driver of the vehicle, but certainly also adds to the efficiency, risk management, and a variety of things you can do. And what you will see today, and if you are driving a modern Toyota, you will already have the connected device on that Toyota as well. We've had some tricky bits in Namibia in order to get the networks to support that, but that's progressing quite well these days as well. So this is the start. The collaboration with those other three brands will certainly enhance what's going to happen in that regard. A is for autonomous. Now, everybody thinks that when you talk about an autonomous vehicle, it's about a vehicle that drives itself. And yes, of course, there's a lot of work that's being done in that regard, not just by people in the motor industry, but even people outside of it. Google is working very hard on it. There's a couple of players in it. So, in truth, however, we've been driving products to autonomy since we started with vehicles. Those of you that have been following the history of vehicles, I think the first form of autonomy that took place that I'm aware of was the advance or the retardation of the firing, the spark that's in the vehicle. Originally, you had to retard in order to start and then advance in order to get the vehicle going. These days, we have all kinds of interesting fuel injection and ignition systems that automatically run that. But going from a manual to an autobox, the name says itself, it's automation or automation, if you want. So there's many developments in this regard. And again, today in the Hino 700, we'll show you a lot of autonomous stuff that assists the dealer, the driver of the vehicle, so that he can apply his mind on other more important things. So that's now C and the A. The S in CASE stands for shared. Regardless of how well you might be sweating your assets in terms of making sure that you get that capital to work 24/7, all the time, zero downtime, there's still times when a vehicle is not required to be moved by yourself. Now, in the shared, shall I call it philosophy, it says, but then maybe somebody else needed that vehicle to be moved or that vehicle to be operating. So already you're seeing that quite strongly in the electrical vehicle part. I've had the privilege of witnessing something that's a phenomenon that's taking place in Japan right now, whereby people don't own vehicles, or a certain section of society don't own vehicles, but they have access to vehicles all of the time. So they will literally just walk to a station. There'll be a number of vehicles, and it's not large, it's 5 or 6 vehicles that's standing plugged into an electrical charger. They will swipe their card, they will disconnect the charger, they will drive the vehicle for as long as they want to, and they will park it at the next site, and they will plug it in, and they will swipe their card again, and they will be paid for the usage of the vehicle. So, us in Africa, maybe it won't work so easy as that. But the point is that those kind of philosophies and the technology in order to allow it will allow us to have usage of vehicles in future without needing to own it 24/7 and paying the cost and the risk that's associated with owning it for 24 hours a day, for 7 days a week, or for 52 weeks in a year. And then E, the last one in that acronym of CASE, stands for electrification. So that's where the the stuff that I've spoken with you a little bit earlier as alternative drivetrains or alternative forms of energy in order to drive a vehicle forward will slowly replace the internal combustion engine that's based on fossil fuel. Of course, I don't believe that word E is necessarily the answer long term. I think it might be replaced from electrification to A for alternative fuels, like I've just suggested in terms of in the case of hydrogen. Okay, that's it. I've spoken more than my fair share. I'd like to hand over to Tubbs, but before I do that, I should perhaps just make sure that you all understand the program. So after Tubbs have shared the detail of the product with you, we're going to go out and we're going to actually have an experience on the track where we will demonstrate some of the features of our exciting new Hino 700. And then, of course, after that, we'd love to entertain you and have the opportunity to get to know each other better. Thank you very much for listening to me. Once again, thank you very much to all the Pukwitz customers that's here today. And I'm going to hand over to Tubbs to tell you all about it. He's the product planner. He's a stunning young man, and I trust that he's going to convince you that the 700 is just the best. Thank you very much.
Good morning. All right, so this morning I'll be sharing with you a product presentation on the new Hino 700. So this is our new generation model, and basically the key point here is to share with you what's been changed and what to expect when you operate the vehicle. So I would suggest that you listen attentively because we do have a question at the end of the session, and whoever gets the most answers correct, you might win a free truck. No, I'm joking. So my presentation outline is as follows. I'll talk about the model lineup and the target market, and then I'll also talk about the exterior, which is stuff that you could notice at a glance. And then I'll talk about the safety features, which are a first for a Hino, and then some interior changes, and then the driving performance, which has seen some quite significant revisions. And then and then I'll just go on to durability, which is part of our testament of the QDR philosophy. That is quality, durability, and reliability. And then lastly, I'll talk about the after-sales support and on how we have also improved the service offering for this vehicle. So the new model lineup comprises of 4 derivatives, which all run on the same 13-liter engine, are all coupled to the same 16-speed ZF-AMT transmission, and they all comprise of auxiliary brakes. Now, what's key to note here is that the 410 tipper model is curated for the construction and mining segments, while the 410 freighter, the 410 track tractor, and the 450 track tractor are curated for the FMCG and the regional haul segments. Now, that is the new Hino 700 at a glance. You can see that it has a new cabin and bumper design, and as well as a new grille design. And then there's also an integration of new headlights and also some multiple sensors that would be on the bumper and also on the front windshield, but I'll talk about those a bit later into the presentation. Now, getting into the safety features, it's key to mention that these are offered as standard across all our 4 variants. So you do not have to pay extra to have these fitted onto our models. So starting off with the first one being the pre-collision system, PCS for short. So how it works is that there is a millimeter wave radar that is on the front bumper. These 2 systems work together in conjunction to judge the probability of a collision from taking place. So if the probability is too high, then the system will activate the brakes, thereby retarding the vehicle to mitigate the risk of a collision from taking place. And it's key to note that the system detects both pedestrians and as well as other vehicles on the road. And then the second function is the staggering warning feature, which basically looks at the steering wheel angle sensor to judge the unevenness of operating the vehicle. So as you can see on the top right, on the top of the slide, you can see that if the vehicle is just weaving about the road in an irregular manner, then the function will activate with the prompt within the multi-information display to say staggering warning. And should the staggering not be addressed in a timely manner, then the PCS function that we spoke about previously will activate, thereby bringing the vehicle to a stop. Again, all this is integrated to mitigate the risk of a collision from taking place. And then there's the adaptive cruise control function, ACC for short, which basically makes use of that millimeter wave radar sensor that I mentioned, where it works similar to how you'd find in your passenger vehicles. So basically, you set the truck speed, you set the distance, and then the vehicle automatically regulate the truck speed relative to the vehicle that's in front. So again, it takes away all the burden of the drivers having to manually regulate the vehicle by applying your brakes and your accelerator pedals. Then there's the lane departure warning system, which I need to reiterate that this is not a lane assist function, but rather a lane departure warning system. So it's in instances where if the vehicle is either deviating on either of the lanes, the driver has to center the vehicle back within the lanes. So what you'll see is that on the right-hand side of the slide, there is a demonstration of what you would see in the multi-information display. So basically, the camera is always constantly looking for lanes, and if lanes are detected, you'll see those two white lines. Now, in the instance that, let's say the driver is deviating on the right-hand side, one of the lines will turn orange to give you that awareness that you are deviating on the right-hand side of the lane. And then further to that, there is a spatial awareness sound system where it utilizes the stereo speakers that if you're deviating on the right-hand side of the lane, there'll be a buzzing sound on the right-hand side of the stereo speaker so that it gives you that spatial awareness. Then you can center back the vehicle within the lanes. And then another function is the driver monitor feature that basically utilizes the driver monitor camera that's mounted on the A-pillar from the driver's side. So it's basically constantly monitoring your facial posture to look for inattentiveness. So if, for example, you're looking away or if your eyelids are shut, then there'll be a prompt within the MID that says staggering warning, lack of concentration, and as well as a buzzing sound to get your attention. And then lastly, under safety, it's basically the implementation of multiple mirror types. So basically, if you look at the bottom left corner, the mirrors are highlighted in red for your ease of identification. And then on the right-hand side of the slide, we are showing all the field of view that you can obtain by utilizing these mirrors. So for example, the door under mirror, which is demarcated in the red color scheme, you'll see any objects that are on the left-hand side of the vehicle. And then your front under mirror, which is demarcated by the mustard yellow color, you can see all the objects that are in front of the vehicle because it's quite a high vehicle. And then the green color schemes are showing you the side under mirrors, and as well as the blue color schemes are showing the main mirrors. So basically, it's showing all the increased field of view whereby it eliminates blind spots, and also you are aware of what's around the vehicle, thereby again improving the safety. Now, getting into the interior, you can see that it's a newly redesigned interior with various color combination schemes and also modernized look and feel. What I want to point out to you is the parking brake lever that is now attached onto the instrument panel, or rather known as a dashboard. And also you have a shift selector. So we've moved away from using gear knobs where now you have a shift selector that you could either rotate clockwise or counterclockwise to select your gears. So either from neutral, you go to drive, or from drive, you go to neutral and then reverse. And there's also the slow or the crawl gears. So again, this also enhances on the convenience of operating the vehicle for our drivers. And then there's the high functionality seat, which basically again complements the interior in terms of the design, the look and feel. And also what's key to note is that it is actually a air suspension mechanism seat, where you could either charge in air or discharge air, which contributes as well to the whole comfortability of driving the vehicle. And then if you look at on the right-hand side of the slide, you'll see that we are demonstrating the seatbelt mounting position. So basically in the previous generation, we noticed that the seatbelt was anchored onto the cab shell. So this created a problem for our shorter drivers, because whenever they would adjust the seat forward towards the steering wheel, they would experience tightness around their neck and also in the abdominal region. So then drivers would then opt in not to use a seatbelt, which again is a risk in the case of an accident taking place. So now with this new generation, the seatbelt is mounted onto the seat itself. So irrespective of the seating position relative to the cabin or to the steering wheel, you find that drivers no longer experience the tightness around their neck or the abdominal region, thereby again enhancing their safety. So the instrumentation cluster has been newly redesigned. It now utilizes LED light sources, and also now it has an integrated multi-information display, which I've been talking about in the previous slides. So just to expand further on the multi-information display, or MID for short, is that you can view multiple items on it. So for example, in the main display area, you are able to see all the safe driving support systems, which would be your adaptive cruise control or your lane departure warning system and so forth. And then you're also able to view any active malfunctions. Now, this would be for instances where if the malfunction renders the vehicle inoperable. So instead of just getting warning lights and a buzzing sound, you actually get a message that says, park the vehicle in a safe space so that you could attend to the matter at hand. And then also you're able to view some eco-driving support that I'll talk about later into the presentation. But just below that, the main display area, you are able to see the current gear that's being engaged. So an example is gear number 11. And if you're on drive, you'll see D. And then also you will also see some other icons when your auxiliary brakes are active. But we'll talk about that again a bit later into the presentation. So because we had to integrate an MID, there was now also a need to also include steering wheel switches, where we're showing an illustration on the right-hand side of the slide, where on the left-hand side of the steering wheel, those are all your directional buttons that you would use to navigate within the MID. And then on the right-hand side, those are the buttons that you would use to actually activate your adaptive cruise control or set the distance that you require. Now, coming to the driving performance, it's key to note that the new Hino 700 now has 3 driving modes. So you have power mode, where you require your ultimate power output, and also you have eco mode that actually is more focused on fuel consumption basis, where you have improved fuel consumption, and then you have normal mode, which is a combination of the two. But what I want to highlight to you on the slide is the bottom left section, where you see those various color schemes, which will be blue, aqua, and yellow, green. So that is basically to inform our drivers in real time of their driving pattern and behavior. So if you're getting a blue color scheme, it means that you actually are not driving the vehicle efficiently. However, if you're getting the yellow-green color scheme, it means that you are a very good driver. But now the question would be, how do you meet those requirements? Firstly, you have to have the engine speed at low RPMs, that would be your revolutions per minute. And then secondly, there shouldn't be any idling, and also you shouldn't be speeding. So all of those requirements actually guarantee that you get that yellow-green color scheme to give you the evidence that you're driving the vehicle efficiently. Now, to further enhance that, on the right-hand side, there's the Eco Tree function, which again gives you real-time feedback on how good you are driving. And this is actually illustrated by the number of leaves that you build up within the tree. And also you will see the number 10 as your eco level 10 being the highest level to show you that you are an efficient driver. So if you're not a so good driver, you'd actually get like level 1, and this is where now you'd actually require driver training. And on that subject, Hino South Africa does offer driver training for free to all our customers, where we'll come to you and also allow to actually assess how your drivers are driving, and then our driver trainers will train them, and then you can get the best out of the vehicle. And then there's also the My Drive Master function, which basically feeds into what I've spoken to now, where basically it's all the warning messages that you could turn on or off. So for example, if you are over accelerating, there'll be a prompt that says excessive acceleration. So it looks at the whole RPMs of how much are you doing, and then should you exceed the threshold, you'll get the prompt that says excessive acceleration. And then there's the upshift warning. So all our 4 variants are AMT gearboxes, where you could choose to either drive in automatic mode or in manual mode. Now, in the instance that you're in manual mode, you will get the prompt that says shift up when the vehicle judges the suitable RPM to engage to the next gear. And then there's also the speed warning, where you could stipulate that I would like the vehicle to actually operate at 60 kilometers per hour, for example. And then should you exceed the 60 kilometers per hour, then there'll be a prompt that says overspeed. And then similarly, how you find with idling time, where you can stipulate that you'd like the vehicle to idle for 10 minutes. And should you exceed the 10 minutes, then there'll be a prompt that says excessive idle time. So all of these, again, are built into the whole concept of improved fuel consumption, because either with high RPMs, you consume more fuel, or if you're idling excessively, again, you're consuming more fuel. And then what's key to note here on this graph, we're basically showing the performance torque curve graphs of our engines. So on the left-hand side, that is the 450 horsepower engine, and on the right-hand side, that is the 410 horsepower engine. So basically, I'd like you to focus on that blue rectangle where it highlights the flat band of the torque performance. So what this means is that you actually get your peak performance instantaneously because it achieves it at a low RPM. Whereas in some engines, you actually get a peak torque performance at a single RPM, which is basically anywhere from 3,000 and upwards. And as mentioned, with higher RPMs, you consume more fuel. Whereas in this instance, when you get your torque instantly, you can pull away instantly while not consuming more fuel. And then the last segment on driving performance are the auxiliary brakes, which is basically the engine retarder, or also known as the Jake brake, that is applicable to all our 4 variants. And then you also have the transmission retarder that is applicable to all our variants with the exception of a tipple model. So basically, the auxiliary brakes are there to retard the vehicle without using your service brakes. So this is actually good in the sense that you can improve on your brake linings, thereby improving your total cost of ownership. And at the same time, you can slow down the vehicle in a safe manner, where initially you can use the engine retarder, and then if you need more retarding force, then you can engage the transmission retarder. And then coming down to durability, so here we are demonstrating the cab suspension, which has been significantly improved. So firstly, lateral vibration has been reduced. And then secondly, the vibration damping efficiency has been increased. So what this means is that the vehicle now absorbs more shocks and more impacts on the road, where you actually feel that it's a comfortable vehicle to drive. And I'm sure you experience that as you go onto the track. So all of these, again, contribute to the whole improved ergonomics and the whole feel and ride and drive of the vehicle. And then the last slide, which is actually the after-sale support for supporting the vehicle. Firstly, this is a demonstration on the 2841 freight carrier model, where we have now improved service intervals at 40,000 kilometers, where if you take a contract of a 5-year period, the CPK would be 51 cents, or the total mileage would be 440 kilometers. So basically, with that being said, one of the benefits of taking this plan is that you get standardized service items across all our dealers, where the labor rate and the parts cost remain the same during the contract period. So if ever we take a parts increase or a labor rate increase, whatever you paid for now, you pay for the rest of the 5 years. So that is another benefit of taking this plan. And then further to that, the vehicle comes with a 3-year unlimited warranty on the driveline. And there's also an extended 2-year warranty that you can purchase to complement again the driveline. And then this again has been built to feed into what the vehicle now has, where the driver and the driving features can actually extend the life expectancy of the component life. So yes, with that being said, this does conclude my presentation.
Well, they do say all good things must come to an end. Unfortunately, we've reached the end of today's episode of my.na cars. I do hope you enjoyed, and I do hope you agree with me about the new Hino 700 series. Do let me know in the comments what your take is on the new Hino 700. From me, my.na, your favorite passenger princess. Until next time, it's all my love, all my light, and ciao.